We just gonna go ahead and get in, all right? Man, this has been a phenomenal Mother's Day. Let's give it up for all the mothers in the house. All the mothers watching online. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there, man. A happy Mother's Day to my grandmother. And happy Mother's Day, Mama. Happy Mother's Day to my mother in the back. Miss Robin, happy Mother's Day, or my dad, Big Rob. Happy Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to my wife. She's back there in the tech room helping out with the tech stuff. But happy Mother's Day. I love you and I appreciate all that you do. Because one thing I'm saying about mothers have to always be on. That's one thing I see. Like I saw a commercial where when the father took a day off, it was cool. But when the mothers took a day off, it was like, whoa, what's going on now? Is she good? Yes, like mothers have to always be on. They always have to be on the clock. There's no days off. And mothers do take a day off, what's going on? What's happening right now? But they always have to be on and always have to be on. Mothers are just natural protectors, protectors, always on the clock, making sure things are happening. Mothers will fight for their kids, raise their kid, lie for their kid, defend their kid. Come on now. Mothers will defend their kid even when they know the kid is wrong. Mothers will defend publicly and then chastise privately. I've seen mothers knowing their kid bad, knowing their kid doing wrong. That's not my baby. And then once the door is closed, now why are you out there acting a fool like that? Got me lying and whatnot. I'm a Christian woman. You got me out here lying. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. Boy, behind closed doors, they snapping, but publicly, my son would never do something like that. Yes, your son will. They all on camera. But mothers have this special connection with their child because of the birth. Birth, and it's crazy. And when I think about like a woman giving birth, it's crazy how God made women the gateway into this world. That's how powerful and dope that is to me. When God is ready to bring a physical human creation to the world, he blesses the womb of a mother. Even when God brought Jesus to this world, it was through the womb of a mother. Mothers are the gateway to this world. A mother, and here's the thing, a mother is pushing out a life that they don't even fully know what it is yet. God already knows. God said, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I already knew you. So God already know what you pushing out. But you really do not know who you pushing out. You don't know, but no matter what, you're going to love them. A mother's love is so powerful. You don't know what you put. You don't know if that kid you bring into this world is going to know how to play spades or not. You don't know. You don't know if that kid you pushing out gonna choose pumpkin pie over sweet potato pie. You don't know. You don't know what that kid pushing out. You don't know. But no matter what, you're gonna love them. A mother's love is powerful no matter what. You don't know if that kid you pushing out is going to be struggling with a mental illness, but you're going to love them anyway. You don't know if that kid you pushing out is going to be struggling with a birth defect, but you're going to love them anyway. Struggling with their sexuality, struggling with their gender, no matter what, you're going to love them anyway because there's a power in a mother's love. Can we say amen to that? You don't know what your kid gonna struggle with, but you're gonna be there for them. Because a mother's love is life-changing. A mother's love is impactful. A mother's love is influential. When I think about all the powerful mothers, my mother, my grandmother, my aunties, my wife, just seeing the influence you have is remarkable. It's amazing, and it's life-changing. A mother's love. And so when you think about how mothers are the gateway and how mothers fight for their kid, they love their kid, and mothers, they can be confusing because some people, unfortunately, didn't have that type of experience with their own mother. To hear that a mother's love is powerful, but you probably never really witnessed that. And so mothers, they can be confusing and have conflicting feelings and bittersweet because you love your mother, but you wish you had that type of connection. And I'm here to tell if anybody's struggling with that, I say we should still thank our mothers just for God using them as a gateway. Thank our mothers just for bringing us into this world. See, here's the thing about God. God is a gap-filling God. So yes, your mother pushed you into this world, but if you are missing some gaps where your mother fell short, God will bring another woman to come in the picture and provide that motherly love, that motherly influence that you missed it out on, because our God is a gap-filling God. They brought you into this world, but you can't replace your biological mother. You can't replace your natural mother, but God will bring someone in to supplement what you've been missing, because that's the type of God we serve. And today, God placed it on my heart today when I think about and I see mothers and the hard work you do, like I say, you always on the clock. You always on the clock, and we have to admit there's mothers out there that are legit tired. Tired. They're stressed out. They're confused. They trying all. They trying. They doing all they can, but yet they still feel empty, still feel lost, still feel overwhelmed, still feeling weary and laden and heavy laden and burdened. You doing all that you can, and you still feel like you're failing. Doing all that you can, still feel like you underappreciated, undervalued, and overlooked. And I'm pretty sure there's mothers out there listening to me or watching me right now that feel overlooked, feel undervalued, and feel underappreciated. And today we're going to look at a mother who's been through some things. Any mothers that just been through some things? That's just been through some things. She suffered a series of misfortunate events. And this mother we're going to look at in the Bible today, Naomi, she moved to a foreign place with her husband and her two sons. Now I'm giving you a backstory before we get into the text so y'all can have context on what the word is coming from. She moved to a foreign place with her husband and two sons. Husband died. Boom, now she's a single mother. Next thing you know, years passed, her children died, her two sons died. And so now she's all alone in a foreign place. She got her two daughter-in-laws who are sons married, but she still feels alone. And she decided to return back home. And in returning back home, out of the two daughter-in-laws, only one daughter-in-law decided to go back with her. So in this text, we see a childless widow headed back home with one of her daughters-in-laws. And so today we're going to be in Ruth chapter 1. We're going to look at verses 19 through 21. You'll have your Bible. You can see it on the screen. Ruth, chapter 1, 19 through 21. So the two women, Naomi and Ruth, went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" Verse 20, "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty." Anybody feel empty right now? Exhausted, empty. The Lord brought me back empty. So why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune upon me. And today, the subject I have for today is a subject for everybody, but it's really for the mothers. I want y'all to hear me. The subject is, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. I know you're super mom and you're trying to hold it all together, but it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to admit you're not okay. It's okay to admit that you're tired, to admit that you're frustrated. I know you're holding it all together for the sake of your children, but it's okay to not be okay. I know you're holding it all together for your children, your spouse, your family. You're doing all this holding on, But in the midst of it, you suffering silently. And it's okay to not be okay. You tired, you feel stressed, you feel abandoned, you feel afflicted. But it's okay to feel like that because you're human. And admitting that you're struggling and you're not okay does not make you weak. It makes you human. And it's okay to not be okay. When you're home, you can just look in the mirror and just say, I'm not okay. I know I'm trying everything I could be trying, but I'm not okay. I know I'm doing all that I know I could be doing, but I'm not okay. I know my kids love me. I know they appreciate what I do, but I'm still struggling with some stuff on the inside, and I'm not okay. And that's what I see about this text, because one thing about Naomi, she was not phony. She was not pretending that everything was fine when she came back home. She said, she was like, yo, I am not doing well. Nothing wrong with that. She came back. Can this be? Don't call me Naomi. Because the sister's struggling. A sister stressed out. I'm tired. I feel empty. I went away full. God brought me back empty. And it's okay to not be okay. She didn't think that she didn't pretend that everything was fine. And I know it's easy to pretend that everything is fine, but you think it's easy, but it's really killing you. Because how do you expect people to know you need help if you put it on the show that everything is fine? Admitting that you're okay does not make you weak. And all the city was excited to see Naomi when she returned. So Bethlehem was like a large village, a small community in a rural area. So everyone in the village, you know everybody. Sometimes I feel like St. Louis is like a village, because you be knowing everybody, don't you? You be running to people like, wait a second, you went to the same high school as me, same class. You just connected to everybody. So everybody kind of knew everything in that community. So when Naomi left years prior and came back, people was excited to see Naomi. What's up, girl? You back? And she don't call me Naomi, because in Hebrew, Naomi means pleasantness. And she said, call me Mara, because in Hebrew, Mara means bitterness. So she renamed herself. So life has not been pleasant for me. I know I'm returning home, but life has not been pleasant for me. God has made my life very bitter. Have you ever felt like God has made your life bitter? You're not okay. It hasn't been pleasant. It's been a rough ride. A lot of stuff been happening, and you have not been treated pleasantly. And Naomi was like, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara. She renamed herself based on the situation she was experiencing. She renamed herself based on a season of life that she was in. And it's common for us to want to rename ourselves based on a little chapter in our life. We rename our whole book based on a bad chapter. But we cannot let a bad moment, a bad season define us. You've been a great mom. You've been trying your best. You've been loving your children. You've been doing all that you can, and you're experiencing a bad year. And now you're questioning your whole motherhood. Trying to not to rename yourself based on what you're going through. Because we all going to go through some things, right? We all going to have ups. We all going to have downs. We all going to have rough patches in our life. It is what it is. And so we shouldn't redefine ourselves based on a rough patch that we in. And Naomi was experiencing a rough patch. Because things can get much worse. Things can be much worse, but Naomi was like, call me Mara, because God has treated me bitterly. And a lot of times that bitter feelings come of a feeling of treated unfairly. Have you ever felt like you've been treated unfairly? That life has treated you unfairly. You doing what you think, you doing what is right. You trying to make ends meet, like my mom said, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You doing all that you can to be the great mom that you want to be, that you have a vision in your head that you want to be, and life is still treating you unfair. And that's how Naomi felt. Because check this out, and the reason why she left was because the book of Ruth was in a day that the judges ruled. So there were no kings. Judges ruled, no kings ruled. So this took place during the dark days of Israel. So to understand why she moved, we need to understand the time of period that was happening right now. It was considered the dark days of Israel. So everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. And there was a famine going on. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 1, a famine was introduced in Bethlehem. And the famine in the land of Bethlehem, it doesn't say why the famine was there, but history tells us that God uses famine as a way to judge idolatry and encourage people to turn and seek him. So everyone doing what was right in their own eyes. So next you know there's a famine. Famine is used to get your attention. So it's safe to say that there's intentions of the famine. Yeah. But instead of staying in the famine, a family decided to leave Bethlehem because of the famine. A certain man by the name of Elimelech, which was Naomi's husband, left Bethlehem and went to Moab with his wife, Naomi, and their 2 sons. So instead of staying in a famine, they left. Instead of staying in a famine for the famine to do what it needs to do, because God uses the famine to get our attention to turn back to him, they left. It's crazy how even back then that people think that leaving is the best answer. That leaving is the best response. I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. Faith is not always about leaving. Faith is about staying at times. Faith comes when you want to leave. Everything tells you should leave, but God is saying you need to stay. Stay and allow this to work. See, the famine was used to work on you on the inside to turn your hearts back to him. But if you leave, that wasn't the intended purpose, was to leave. But the second adversity comes in a picture, people shake. People leave real quick. Like I stay reading the articles, the tech world and all that stuff, and people leaving jobs real quick, people leaving marriages real quick, people leaving team. People, with us, soon as they experience some opposition, they leaving. And leaving is not always the best answer, because if you always run when you feel adversity, you're never going to gain. How you expect to gain when you're always leaving? See, you have to stay and be worked on. You complaining about things not coming your way, but when opportunity do come your way, the second you feel any type of resistance, you leave. Leaving is not always the best answer. The second your relationship start, getting a little tension, you leave. And then I can't find a good man anywhere. I can't find a good woman. You leave every time. Nobody's perfect. You're going to argue. You know that, right? You're going to not to see eye to eye on things. That's what makes a relationship cool. Because you're not. It's a whole different person that didn't grow up in the same house as you, raised differently, grew up differently, went to different schools probably, and it's just, everybody have different upbringings. So you're going to experience some tension. Even at work, people leaving quickly. The second it gets difficult, you leave. And then complain that you can't find a job. But you're always leaving. Everything not going to be easy. I saw a joke. It said because a lot of people are leaving because they want to be entrepreneurs now. They want to be their own bosses. And then they said people leave a 9 to 5 because they're tired of working 9 to 5, but not knowing that they're about to walk into a 24/7. So now you complain about your 9 to 5. Now you like, it's 8 o'clock at night. You still working because you hustling. Any entrepreneurs right now watching or something, you are hustling, just trying to, when that rent comes, that mortgage comes, you got to do what you got to do. You working. As a comic, I got to take some gigs I don't want to take. because I need that money. Not working a 9 to 5 was cool, but I was staying up till like 11 o'clock at night. But the second things get hard, you leave. And let's not even think about just job or marriage. You see it some in parents. The second parenting gets hard. Those hormones kick in. Children get older, you start getting stressed out, and you're like, you know what, I'm done. You check out. You quit. The second things get hard. But parenting ain't easy. Being all the mamas there, mothering ain't easy. Mothering is hard. It's a lot of work. Like I said, you on the clock always. Even when you're not on the clock, your mind is still on the clock. You be like, I'm taking a me day. You will be getting a massage or getting your nail and still thinking about what's going on at home. Like, I don't know what they doing. I don't know if the daddy doing what he's supposed to be doing. I just got to check in on everybody. Your mind going everywhere. You're supposed to be relaxing. Then you call, like, ain't you supposed to be taking a day off? I'm trying, but, are they? But the second things get hard, parenting get hard, some parents check out because it ain't easy. And her husband decided that they were going to go to Moab because of the famine in Bethlehem. And I like how the King James Version says, they went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he, his wife, and his 2 sons. And that word sojourn is a very interesting word and really shows the purpose of them leaving. See, sojourn means to leave with the intention to return. So when they said they were sojourning in Bethlehem, in Moab, that was supposed to be temporary. But somewhere down the line, temporary turned into permanent real quick. And we have to be careful because there's a lot of decisions we made that were supposed to be temporary. But they turn into permanent real quick. And we do ourselves a disservice staying in seasons longer than we should have. Staying in positions longer than we should have. That was supposed to be temporary. That job was supposed to be temporary. And now you got comfortable. Because comfort is the reason that turned things from temporary into permanent. We get comfortable. We get somewhere down the line that was supposed to be a temporary move. The Bible said they was over there. Naomi was there for longer than a decade. Temporary turned to 10 years. And how does that, when we think about it, that's why when it comes to school, they tell a lot of high school seniors, if you're interested in going to school, college, don't take that gap year. I remember when I graduated college, they said if you're interested in graduate school, don't take that year off. Go right in because you're going to get comfortable real quick. And what turns into a little temporary, I'm just going to take a little time for myself. Next thing you know, years go by. And you're like, dang, I should have just went when I had the chance. Because we get comfortable. Comfort will kill us. Being comfortable will prevent us from thriving. Being comfortable will prevent us from growing out here. We have these visions, these dreams and stuff, but when we get comfortable, all that stuff goes on a pause. It gets delayed because we got comfortable. That's what happens when you get somewhere down the line. Temporary turned into permanent real quick for Naomi's family. And then her husband died, and she was left alone with her 2 sons. A transition. Transitions take strength to deal with. Because life is constantly changing. Life is constantly having different types of transitions. That's one thing that's inevitable, or transitions are going to happen. Everybody might have different transitions, but nevertheless, it's a transition that you got to adapt. And that takes strength to adapt. And they were her 2 sons, and her 2 sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. And then the Bible said they dealt there for another 10 years. You see how comfortable it gets? You see how you can get comfortable real quick? That's why I'm so happy. As much as me and my wife was praying when we lived in Kansas City, praying for a house in Kansas City, God knew if I would have got that house in Kansas City, I would have got comfortable real quick. Be careful where you make home. Be careful where you make home. Because you think it's home when it's really not home. They made Moab home. And next thing you know, after 10 years, her sons died. So now she's a childless widow. You see how this mother is just going through life? Going through different transitions in life, and she's having to deal with all these different types of transitions. She went from being a married woman to a single mother. She went from being a single mother to a childless widow, which back then it was among the lowest, most disadvantaged classes in the ancient world. Because there was no one to support you, and you had to live on the generosity of strangers. She had no family in Moab, no one else to help her, and she was in a desperate situation. Anybody feel like they're in a desperate situation? They feel like all these different transitions, no one's there for you, and you're doing this all alone. You parenting all alone. You fighting all alone. You're doing all that you can alone. And mothers have strength in those different types of transitions. Because no matter what, this is Naomi's transition of losing her children, and losing her husband. But another transition can be being an empty nester. I was researching now how mothers struggle with that, an empty nest. Because like I said, your kid is your world. Your children are your world. You sacrifice everything for your kid. And so you develop that special connection. And so that transition can be going from your kid being at home to being an empty nester. And they say, and psychology says, being an empty nester brings depression, brings sadness, and you feel like you lost purpose. Because as long as your children need to depend on you like that, you feel like you have purpose. But the second they start growing up and they start becoming more independent, you start feeling like, what am I needed for? But roles just changed. So you didn't necessarily lose your child, but you have a feeling that you lost your purpose. And Naomi was a childless widow. She transitioned. She's dealing with transitions. And she decided to return back to Bethlehem. You see how life a lot of times just turn out as God getting your attention. Storms are used to get your attention. Like the famine had intentions. The famine had an intended purpose. And we struggle with life trying to understand, why would God allow storms to enter our life when there is intentions in the storms? You need to remember that the storm always has intentions. What are you trying to get out of me? What are you trying to use me for? There's intentions in the storms. You might not see it, but ask God to reveal it. What's the intention of the storm? She decided to return back to Judah because she heard the famine was over, and she told her daughter-in-laws to go back on to their mothers. So here's a mother telling her daughter-in-laws to go back to their own mothers because she has a feeling she has nothing to offer them. She has no purpose. She has nothing to offer them. She said, I'm too old to have a husband. And if I did have a husband and we bear children, are you going to wait for the children to grow up of age so you can marry them? And so she's saying that I have nothing left. I have nothing to offer you. I'm empty. I'm tired. I'm depressed. I'm confused. I don't have nothing to offer you. So go ahead and leave. And here's the thing. She's telling them that to leave because she has nothing to offer them. But what I also see is a mother that don't want to be around the daughter-in-laws because the daughter-in-laws are receipt of the pain. See, sometimes when the cut is so deep, the hurt is so deep, you don't want to be around people that remind you of that pain. Because it's hard to deal with. It's hard to deal with being around somebody and then you just remember all the pain that you've been through. Back in 2016, that was a struggle for me, trying not to, when I'm around an environment, it brings back the pain. And sometimes, can I be even more honest, sometimes kids are the receipt of the pain. Kids are the receipt to the pain, and you have to overcome that. That relationship with the father didn't work out, and it's hard for you to look at that kid because that kid is the receipt of the pain on what could have been. What could have been. Orpah and Ruth were the receipts of the pain. She saw them and saw her sons. She see her sons, she think about the father. And when she think about the father, she think of all this happened. My husband is not here. The father of my children not here. And now my children not here. And now I have to turn back home. This mother is empty. She's tired. She's in pain and in sorrow. But she didn't know that while she was being emptied out, Ruth was being filled. So you never know what God is doing when you're being emptied out. See, God likes when we're empty, because when we're empty, he can fill us up. When we're empty, he can use us. Because a lot of times we can become so full of ourselves that there's no room for God. You know, like I said, we can become so full, get so caught up in our own life, in our own dreams, in our own will for our life, in our own parenting, in our own world, that we have no room for God. And so a lot of times God has to squeeze us a little bit. You know how you got that little bit of ketchup left and you trying to really get that ketchup out of there? God has to squeeze us and make us empty. Because when we're empty, we're powerful. I know you don't think about it like that. I'm empty, I have nothing to offer, but God is saying that's perfect for me. Because I can fill you up so you can pour. So while she's being emptied out, Ruth is being filled. Ruth is being filled while Naomi is feeling depressed, while Naomi is feeling in pain or in sorrow. Ruth, she didn't know that she was impacting Ruth. She didn't know she was impacting Ruth in the midst of her pain, in the midst of her sorrow. She was not okay, and it's okay to not be okay, but even though she was not okay, Ruth was being filled. In all that pain, Ruth was being filled. In all that sorrow, Ruth was being filled. Naomi grieving the loss of her husband and her two sons, Ruth is being filled. That's why you should never underestimate the power of your story. Because Ruth said, check out, the Bible said Ruth clung to her. See, Orpah said, deuces, I'm gone. But it said Naomi clung, and Ruth clung to Naomi. That's the power that Naomi had on Ruth. Even though Naomi was going through what she was going through, Ruth saw power. See, the power of a mother's influence is incredible. Is incredible. The power of the mother's love is incredible. Ruth said, wherever you go, I go. Wherever you die, I'ma die. Wherever you stay, I'ma stay too. And then this is the part that got me. Your God is my God. Your God is my God. Ruth wasn't even didn't believe in her God, in Naomi's God. But after seeing what Naomi was going through, you never know when people watching you. That's why I say don't give up. You keep on fighting, you keep on believing, you keep on having a faith, because that faith is being transferred to somebody else that really need it. She said, your God is my God. And the Bible said Ruth clung to her. Your story is impacting someone. A lot of people think we try to belittle ourselves and we judge ourselves based on our past, based on your story, but your story is powerful. Your story can impact somebody. Yes, your past might not have been the best, but your story can impact somebody, because somebody in this world is struggling with the same thing you struggle with. Somebody in this world is dealing with what you're dealing with too, and your story can impact somebody, so don't be ashamed of your story. Embrace your story. If you're a teen mom, embrace your story. That could be impacting another teen mom. You had a child out of wedlock, embrace that story. That could be impacting another woman that's dealing with the same thing. You never know who is going through what, and your story can change their life. Because if God sees them do it for you, they can think that he can do it for me too. That's it. Your story can impact somebody. But let's not judge Orpah for leaving. Like a lot of people be like, I'm Ruth, I'm Ruth, I'm Ruth. Well, some of us are Orpah. Let's be honest. Because let's see, people are like, I'm a Ruth just searching for my Boaz, but Boaz was in the land of the unfamiliar. That's where Boaz resided. He was in the land of the unfamiliar, the land of faith, but a lot of people are guilty of choosing familiar over faith. Familiar over faith. See, it was faith while Ruth clung to Naomi and went to Bethlehem and then happened to be gleaning in the field of Boaz. That was a faith move. Orpah did a familiar move. See, we choose familiar over faith, and we all guilty of it. Because it's hard to sometimes step out on the unseen, the unknown. You don't know what to expect. See, in Moab, Orpah knew what to expect. She's like, look, I'm gonna get me a husband. I'm going to have me some children. I don't know what's going to happen in Bethlehem. So I ain't going to even go. But we choose familiar over faith because familiar is safe. You're used to it. You know what to expect. But a lot of times, familiar can prevent us from better. And I was going to touch some toes with this one, but you see that when it comes to relationships. You choose familiar over better. You choose what you're used to over better. You choose what you're accustomed to over better because it's safe. It's safe. Familiar over faith. When you need to choose faith. Because better is in faith. You want better, you're going to have to be willing to step out into the unknown and take a chance on something. If you want better, you're going to have to go ahead and cling and go forward. And you see what Ruth did? Ruth got Boaz and better. She didn't stay in Moab. But a lot of us are looking for Boaz in Moab. When Boaz he didn't reside. He was in Bethlehem. So next time you be like, God, just send me a Boaz. Be like, hey, where are you located right now? Y'all in Moab, like, what are you waiting for, God? I'm waiting. You in Moab just chilling. And Ruth took a chance and was like, I know where I'm going. But she took a chance because of Naomi's. The power of a mother's love. That's what drew Ruth to Naomi, was just the faith that Naomi had. All that stuff. It's easy to lose faith in tragic moments. In tragedy, it's easy to lose faith that you feel like God, like you said in this text, my life has been bitter. God's hand has been against me. So you can lose faith when you feel like God is out to get you. That's how we can be dramatic time. God is out to get me. Why? Why? And people are, he just hating on me. That's just trying to prevent me from moving forward. Like, God ain't hating on you. But the afflictions are to make you better. It's to move you forward. It's to get your attention. Familiar over faith. And even when I think about being familiar and the idea of being familiar, you think about Mark chapter 6, when it said Jesus couldn't do many miracles in his hometown because the people were too familiar with him. Isn't this the carpenter's son? They still saw him as the carpenter's son, not Jesus. And so the idea of being familiar with something can prevent you from better. And Naomi came back home with Ruth, and she was a different woman. She renamed herself. Don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, because the journey changed her. The journey will change you. So before you judge somebody, just see where did they come from. You changed. You would have changed too if you've been through what they've been through. Because the journey would change you. Struggle would change you. Losing loved ones will change you. You can't be, it's going to be hard. You be like, why you changed? Because I lost. Naomi, like, I lost my husband. I lost my 2 sons. I was in a strange land all by myself. I'm an alien. I'm in a foreign place all alone. In a sense, you're in an unfamiliar place all alone. Have you ever been in an unfamiliar place just all alone? Mentally, you don't recognize yourself anymore. You don't recognize the environment anymore. And she came back home, she said, I'm empty. I went away full, I came back empty. But if you think about it, she really wasn't all the way empty because she had Ruth. Her perspective, she was looking at what she lost. She didn't see what she gained. Yes, she lost her husband, she lost her 2 sons, but she gained Ruth. Because she didn't realize that the impact Ruth was going to have on her life. So she went away full, she came back empty, not knowing that God is about to use Ruth as a gateway to fill her back up. See, she didn't know there's times in our life when you'll go through difficult times. And as a mother, you're going to go through difficult times. That's just life. You're going to go through times that bring tears of joy, times that bring tears of sadness, tears of loss, tears of sorrow. But God is still in control. God was still in control. Even though her family made a decision to leave Bethlehem because of the famine, God was still in control. God was in control of the loss of her husband. God was in control of the loss of her 2 sons. God was in control when she was all alone, a childless widow. God was in control because he orchestrated all this so that Ruth can come to Bethlehem. God is in control because Naomi did not see Boaz in the future. But God saw it though. Naomi didn't see the impact Ruth was going to have. But God saw it though. And that's why we have to think about, even when we don't see when God is working, he's working. And some of us feel like he's not working in our lives. And we feel afflicted. We feel abandoned by God. You ever felt like you've been abandoned by God? Like you all alone, you feel like God is not with you right now. She felt abandoned, but God was still working. And yes, Naomi was not Ruth's biological mother, but she still acted as a motherly mentor for Ruth. Naomi still had a motherly impact on Ruth, to the point that if you read this story even more deep, it was Naomi who coached Ruth on how to get Boaz. Yes. It was Naomi. See, Ruth met Boaz, but it was Naomi who coached her. Girl, let me put you on game, show you how to get him. Let me show you how we do it. And it was Naomi who, because when Naomi discovered that Ruth was in the field of Boaz, she went to work. Like, let me tell you something, sister. She said, Boaz, tonight he'll be threshing barley, so you need to go to him, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. Go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he finishes food. She putting him on game. She putting her on game. And when he lies down, note the plate that he's lying down and uncover his feet and lie down. Now, this is the Bible. I ain't sanitizing nothing. He said, then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. And Ruth said, I will do whatever you say. So Ruth went down to the threshing floor and did everything Naomi told her to do. And the outcome was that Boaz married Ruth. And together they cared for Naomi. You see the power of a mother's love, a motherly influence. See, sometimes you can get there, but you need to be coached on how to get it. See, you can get there all you want, but you need somebody to coach you along the way. Let me tell you, you got to the door. Let me show you how to conquer what's on the other side of the door. You got to this place. Let me show you how to seize this moment. See, a lot of us want to pray for a moment, but you need to seize the moment. I just don't want to experience the moment. I don't want God to just have me experience. I want to take it over. I want to seize it. She didn't just meet Boaz, she married Boaz. And Naomi put her own game on. Let me show you how to get Boaz, sister. Put you on game. So in all this pain that Naomi dealt with, she was not okay. It's hard to be okay in all that pain. But it's okay to admit that you're struggling. To admit that you are not the same person that you used to be. You are not the same mother as you used to be because you've been through some things. And you feel empty. You feel like God is against you. But it's okay to not be okay, because when you're not okay, just know that God is still working and you're not okay. Amen. Amen. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers watching and in the house right now.